Get podcasting. Welcome everyone, and this is the Pixelship podcast. I am Neil LeBeau. I'm joined by Ryan Hayes
Hey, hey, hey.
and by Joel Hartlob.
Heyo.
We do not have Ryan Blandy with us. He has a prior engagement. He's storming the shores, bringing back rum and women and video games for us.
It's a raiding party.
Yeah.
I forgot for a half a second that you were tying that into the theme of our website. I thought he was like reenacting Normandy or some shit.
He might be. I don't know. I don't know what he does in his spare time away from the ship.
It just wanders.
He got a day pass and he's out, okay? All right, so this week we're going to talk to you about video games. We're going to talk to you about, well, that's pretty much it. That's about all we talk about. So if you want world events, you're going to have to go somewhere else. We're going to talk about pixelated video games. So we're going to start the week as we usually do by talking about what we played this week. Let's start with you, Joel. What have you played?
I pretty much, after we did the whole Dota thing, I kind of got hooked, and that's pretty much all I've been doing for the past week.
Fuck's the matter with you?
I'm glad that one of us got hooked. Like, honestly, somebody had to get hooked.
Blandy got
No,
hooked
that's
too.
like saying we all hung at a party and did heroin and one of us got hooked. Like, that's not good. We all should have walked away from that party not fucking addicted to a shitty, shitty thing.
I hate to tell you, but heroin supposedly feels pretty good. I'm just
That's
saying.
great.
I'm just saying. So it stands to reason that at least a couple of us would have gotten hooked and tried to chase the dragon or chase the Dota.
It ruins lives, Neil. It ruins lives.
You know what? So does Skyrim and Fallout and all the games that eat my world forever.
All right, I'll give you that.
And every MMO that ever existed. Well, the good one.
Right. Yeah, Secret World ate my life for a while too, and that's a bad
Yep.
MMO. So who the hell knows? So, all right, so you played a lot of Dota, and I heard we can tie this into news a little early. There's some Dota news that just happened this week, right?
Yeah, the International 2014 happened. It's like the big international championship. And this is, I think, the third one that they did, or the fourth one. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fourth.
Okay. Well, it's the fourth one they did, and it was, I guess it was going over like the last week or so. And the playoff round and the championships were this weekend, and that was pretty much what I did with my time, considering I have a broken foot and don't really leave the house right now.
Right. Yeah, you are indisposed.
And
For
So
yeah,
you watch everything through the client, right? And you can do like the active replay and all that stuff.
I don't know about yeah, you can. I mean, you can backtrack. It's kind of like watching something on DVR or like
Yeah.
digital cable, like if you have DVR. You could have watched it that way. You could have just streamed it through the website. Like you didn't have to have the Dota client to do it. I preferred the Dota client because you could actually like you could look at what stats you wanted to. You could check, like, click on the characters to find out what they had and all that stuff. I just my
Yeah,
preferred.
I thought that was super cool. Like, if you were interested in it, like, to be able to see, oh, what items are they using and all that, detail if, not a lot of action is happening.
Right. So I
Did you end
mean,
up getting any items?
no. Well, you had to basically what you had to do to get items. You had to buy like team pennants to basically to kind of support a team or whatever. And the money actually, like, it was like $1.50 for a pennant, and the money went towards the actual pool, the prize pool, I think.
Yeah, pretty much every dollar you spent on
Yeah.
the compendium, whether it was for more sparkly points or
Yeah.
whatever, fantasy football stats.
The prize pool was $10 million, by the way, and
That's
the winners.
fucking insane.
Did
The
it did
winners.
it built over the week, and that was what the final prize pool was, or did they say the prize pool is going to be $10
No,
million?
no, 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 no.
Let's
It was
reach it.
based. It was based on how much money like was inputted based on the compendiums and stuff like that. And I guess this was by far the most that they've had because I guess the last year's winners had, like, I think maybe like around 1 million or so. Was like, I mean, which is still a lot. Like the winners of the tournament actually won like $1 million. This year,
Yeah, I
it
would
was
say they
five
raised
times.
like 5 million.
It was 5 times that this year.
Right.
The winners won $5 million. Um, but anyway, I don't know. I just kind of got hooked, and I didn't get any items. I did buy a couple of pennants, like 2 pennants for the teams that I was kind of cheering on.
So you poured dollars in. These are your hard-earned $3 that you put into
It's
this.
just true. I did.
All right. Okay.
Um, I don't know. It was fun. I had.
Well, I mean that definitely screams to the level of buy-in that goes from watching, like. See, you're a competitive sports guy though.
That's true.
So like for someone who's not, that might be maybe that's just like a inlet into that dark world.
Yeah.
I like everything about the way the international is set up, except for the actual game they're playing. Like, if like, no, like honestly, like their entire setup, like to be able to kind of zoom around the world or use like a pre-programmed curated camera to have the compendium, which even though I care about none of the contents, like the amount of detail and being able to track your favorite players and teams, like they put a lot of production and a lot of work into this, and I think that it's actually a really really neat concept. If
Hmm.
more games started doing this that I actually was interested in, like bad example, but summer games done quick. If they had something digital that I could follow along and see the schedule and maybe read up some other oh, time this guy did this speed run, like this happened, watch the replay, like I would totally throw $10 towards something like that. I think
Right.
everything about that is super interesting and super cool. I just don't give a shit about the
I
game.
feel like it's easier because the game doesn't have a physical product or doesn't have that kind of. For example, like Magic the Gathering Online has Champion Series and stuff like that, where are pretty huge tournaments. They have invitationals, stuff like that. But you can't get that kind of. People are already throwing enough of their own money into the game. I feel
Hmm.
like it's hard to kind of, I don't know, try to have a crowdsourced prize pool for something that the game's making money off of already.
Well, I mean, I don't know how Magic does like buy-ins and stuff like that, but I get what you're saying with that too. I mean, because I look at the only other sport that I can, or not really sport, but game in general that I can really think of that I know of that has had like where the players or fans or whatever supported the buy-in or the prize pool is poker, but it's more around like
You pay to play. You
the
don't.
people who are, yeah, exactly.
Right.
The prize pool is based on the number of people that join in, and like it grows over time. And I think this was like the first thing that I've seen where I guess
Yeah,
the
it's
community was more
right, right.
of what built the prize pool than the actual players.
Straight up crowdsourced funding,
Yeah.
I
donating to
mean,
Vapor for the most part. They're paying for the show, which is
Right.
very interesting.
and it's a free to play game, but there's always been money matches for Counter Strike and stuff like that, but it's usually small scale. It's a couple hundred people meet at a fucking hotel, and everyone throws in $50 to enter into the tournament or
Right,
whatever.
but
Like
once again,
these
what
things
you're
exist,
saying
but
is
not
very
yeah.
different. Like throwing in to play in a tournament. That's like putting up your own cash to play in a tournament is one thing. Putting up your own cash to watch a tournament being played and actually
Yeah.
supplying the prize pool. That's very strange. I don't know of anything like it.
Well, I tell you what they did to kind of promote that is they provided like if because I'll be honest, I bought the compendium too.
Sure.
But the compendium, like I screwed up because I bought it too late and I couldn't make any of the predictions or anything, which is where you got like a vast amount of the points to like level it up. So I was a little pissed about that, but
So is it kind of like horse racing, I guess, almost?
to some extent, but you don't make money off of it. What happens is like the compendium levels up, and based on the level of the compendium, I think it goes up. I don't remember how high it went, but based on the level of the compendium, you got items in game. So like you got specific items, like you would get like the treasures or whatever that would drop that would like give you like the cosmetic items for the characters and stuff like that. Like I got a couple, but I didn't get like Blandy. His compendium got up to 30 because he bought it before the tournament, like the playoff part had started, so he could actually go through and make the predictions. Um, but mine's like level 3 because like I had like two ways that I could actually like level it up unless I wanted to pay for points, and screw that.
Right, you just ran out of time. If you had had more
Yeah,
time, you would have been good.
exactly. So I mean, I was a little annoyed by that, but I mean that's where they get the incentives. Like like the major draw, the major way that they're gonna they make their money is through all the cosmetic extra stuff because you don't have to pay for the heroes, you don't have to pay for any of the game itself. You pay for looks, you pay for stuff that looks cool,
It's the
and
Right.
same thing with Team Fortress, like it's
Yeah.
all cosmetic or like weird little effects and stuff like that.
right. It's nothing like with this. It's nothing that actually changes the way the game is played, which is good because that makes it's not pay to win. but it also like there's enough of a draw to that people like to buy stuff. Like look at Blandy. Look at how much money he spent on Team Fortress, and now he's getting into Dota because the majority of the stuff, like the stuff that you pay money for in these games, is all cosmetic.
Right.
And
Right.
and like
They
Blandy loves his hats.
they manufacture the demand, and then it really is genius because they get the people to watch the tournament to get the items. And then there are some people that watch the tournament and think, if I'm going to watch the tournament, I might as well get the items. You know, so like they're double
Right.
dipping off of these fans
Yep.
for two completely different reasons. All right, cool.
Yeah, but it's not malicious. It's it's a free to play game. It's
I'm not.
I don't know.
No. I don't think it's necessarily malicious, but you have to think that they're going to take a piece of the pie, a little bit.
oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, not all the money that was like
It was raised. It was
it-
going to the players.
yeah, because
right?
they even clearly said how much of like I think it was like it might have only been like 250 of each compendium or something like that. I don't know.
I want to say
I-
it was like 30% of whatever transactions went through the compendium or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
it wasn't like it wasn't like the whole $10 that you were throwing in was going towards the prize pool, but
Right.
But if you saw the international, like that was an expensive fucking spectacle to put on.
Right.
Not saying that Valve doesn't have the money, just saying that to put on that show, that
But
cost
then-
them a pretty penny.
then you also have to think they sold out of tickets, like physical tickets to actually go and watch it in this arena. They had a shop there for like stuff, and they had lines and forever to like get into the shop to buy stuff. And the other thing I thought was cool, I don't know if this might be like the first time I saw it. ESPN actually had it on. They had it on ESPN3, which is like the online
Ocho.
space. Yeah, more or less. But when I was going to sleep, like Monday night, because Monday was when the actual finals happened, it was like maybe 10, 11 o'clock. They actually had like the broadcasters from the international, like the announcers and all that stuff, like talking, like breaking down what was going on. And this was like ESPN2. So,
Right.
like, to me, like, for esports, that's a big deal because, I don't know,
That's pretty great, though.
I think the explosion from, like, last year to this year as far as, like, the prize pool and all that and the amount of, like, people watching, I don't know, it might be, I don't know if it's a blip or a trend, but part of me hopes it's a trend.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, if ESPN3 heard about a hot dog eating contest with a $10 million prize pool, they would probably cover it. So let's not.
Right, but they don't cover Magic anymore. They've never covered Yu-Gi-Oh.
Is that much money up for grabs in Magic?
No, not that much head prize, but I mean, they did cover it for a while.
Okay, I didn't.
Yu-Gi-Oh has some pretty severe prize pools. I don't know if it's $10 million, but for these tournaments that are being played every weekend, like
Yeah.
they get pretty high.
I mean-
it's strange what they cover and what they don't, and I feel like they really do want to jump on the next big thing because nerds are winning and jocks are really not. So I think that they know that they're. I don't know if it's a doomed procession. People still identify with sports pretty heavily, but
Yeah.
I think they want. I think they want a couple bucks too. Anyhow, all right. Well, I think we've adequately covered Dota.
Sure.
About 15 minutes of it. So, no, that's cool though. That is cool that there's a game that you're really is revitalizing your interest. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, let's go over to Ryan Hayes. What have you played this week, sir?
I've been playing a lot of my Vita. Actually, picking it up more often than I thought. I've been playing a couple basically they're PSP emulated PlayStation 1 games. There's Dino Crisis and oh my gosh, cannot remember the Wild West RPG. Please hold.
Wild
I
Arms.
forgot what it's called. Wild Arms, yes. Those work pretty well. I played, they're nothing really to say. They're the exact game they were on the PlayStation. But I played my brain is broken today.
It's okay.
Nathan Drake, Uncharted. Uncharted for PS Vita. It's a little gimmicky, but overall it's pretty good. It's interesting. Like, I don't know if you ever played the Uncharted games. but you're kind of crawling up the sides of buildings and on ropes and stuff. And for this one, you can draw on the touchscreen, like the path you want him to follow, and he like auto climbs.
Nice.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of ham-fisted way to play it, but the other controls work perfectly fine. So they're always like, "Hey, here's the Vita controls for this thing that you can do," and then it just kind of says, "Or you can just actually play the goddamn game." So I appreciate that. You know, you don't have to, do the one little gimmick.
It is,
But
yeah, it is cool that they put that in there, though. That they don't just direct port.
yeah. Well, it's not a port. It's a totally new game.
Oh, right.
I think it's I don't know if it's a prequel. I'm not super far into it. And then I've been playing Persona 4 Golden, which is Persona 4 for the PS2, just in a much more manageable format. So I'm pretty much where I was up to in the PS2 version, but now I can actually play it while I poop, which is a much more appealing proposition for me to play through that like 80-hour game.
And this is the Blandy was talking about Persona 4 in some of the first couple podcasts, right?
Yeah.
He was like all about it for a while.
It's a great RPG. If you like, JRPGs, which not everyone does,
Nope.
It's very dialogue heavy. It kind of uses this ghost persona system in battle. It's a really interesting RPG, but it's weird and Japanese and turn-based, so know that going into it. But it's relatively cheap now. And I also picked up Tearaway, which everyone was kind of saying is kind of the definitive Vita game right now that kind of actually uses the PS Vita, not necessarily as a gimmick, but more kind of integrates that into the world. So it kind of uses you as the god of this world, and like your face kind of appears in the sun, in like a la creepy Teletubbies style. But it's actually kind of cool. But when you interact with the world, you kind of get to these areas, and there'll be bad guys kind of running around. And there's a back touchscreen, and when you touch the back of the touchscreen, you can actually push your fingers through the world. And it sounds kind of neat, because everything is made of paper, like everything's it's called Tearaway, obviously. But you're kind of manipulating the world by manipulating your Vita, and it's kind of charming. It's not Little Big Planet in gameplay or anything other than the tone of the world and kind of that fun, handcrafted feeling when you play a game. I really enjoy it so far, so I'll probably play a little bit more of that. But overall, there's not a ton out for the Vita, but it's a really solid little handheld. I'm enjoying it about as much as I did when I first got my 3DS before there were a ton of great games for it. So, it's if you have PlayStation consoles, they have the off-screen play. Like I started using that stuff. That works all right. Basically using it like a Wii U screen to play your PS4. And then you can also use it as a controller, but I don't know why you would ever fucking do that, because the DualShock's perfectly sound solution. But yeah, overall, I'm just really, really enjoying the Vita so far.
Sweet sauce. Yeah,
I don't know how I'm going to transport it, though. The thing feels fucking delicate. Like, I got to get a case or something for it, because it's basically the entire front is glass, and I don't know.
Yeah, Blandy does boast taking his with him most places, but honestly, if you see him take it with him, he takes it from point A to point B in a car seat. He places it into it's basically a baby to him. So
it feels durable, though. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break. It's just this giant shiny screen. I'm just gonna put my keys up against it or something like that. I just want to be able to throw it in a sleeve. I actually have for my PSP. It's like kind of like a soft, squishy sleeve. I bet you that would even work for this, because I think it's about the same size as the original PSP, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I think you should try it out. Definitely, that would be a good good idea. Well, as far as Tearaway goes, I don't know if you guys feel this too, but I feel like two people are competing over just having that kind of cutesy, creating their own world or like a neo charm to video games. And I really think Nintendo's trying to hold on to what they had created before, but I think Sony is coming out ahead when it comes to coming out with new things that just have a sense
Uh,
of charm to them.
I have to disagree with you there. I think there are a lot of game companies that are working with Sony. I don't think that's a Sony initiative. Like Sony tried to rip off Smash Brothers. They tried. Like they. I'm not saying they're not trying, but Nintendo does it so naturally. Like, I. One of the most recent examples that comes to mind is in the new Super Mario 3D World, like the cat suit. It's corny and it's hokey, but it's adorable as hell. And like at the end, like the characters occasionally meow, like stuff like that is. It doesn't really try to be adorable. It's just this is a Mario game, and then oh, isn't this cute or isn't this funny? I I feel like Sony's trying really hard to get into that market as Nintendo's losing their footing, but it's very transparent.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I will say, at the same note, there are a lot of indie game companies that are coming in and
Oh,
making
yes.
these games that are just, like Super Meat Boy, for example, that just can be simply endearing with almost with very little effort, I guess.
But that's in no way, shape, or form a kid's game or appealing to a cute or cuddly audience. That game is
No,
fucking controller throwing hard.
right. But at the same level, it has a unique sense of charm to it. Something, just an art styling that
I
lends
get what you're
itself
saying.
towards
Yeah.
iconicism that you don't. I don't know.
It's not
How many-
brown space marine bloodbath anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not,
That I'll
right.
give you. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's not something where you're just looking at the tip of a barrel and hands holding it.
This indie revolution or indie renaissance or whatever you want to call it is the greatest thing to happen to video games since the fucking home console.
Agreed.
Just the fact that everyone's making, to your point, very charming, very original games that have their own sense of personality and are not the fifth Call of Duty ripoff. That's what it was feeling like for a very long time. Everyone was
I
just
completely
churning out shooters.
And you see that in every industry. I mean, think about 2 years ago what movies were like. It was just a reboot after a reboot.
I think it's
To a
also
sequel.
caused a resurge in PC gaming.
Agreed.
Because I mean, for a while there, aside from what like WoW and a couple of MMOs, there wasn't a whole lot coming out for PC that was just unique to PC or really had a draw for people to come. I think Steam has helped a lot with that, honestly. I don't think I'd be as much because I hardly touch my consoles anymore. But I think without Steam, I would probably still be stuck on the consoles playing most of my games there as opposed to playing multiplayer and stuff on the computer.
Right. I feel
Well, I
like
think
Steam makes these charming games not only accessible but inexpensive, which is something
Uh-huh.
that you cannot get with console or you don't get
True.
with console. So it's
Right.
going to push you towards it.
The value proposition for a computer, like you are going to spend, honestly, between $800 and $1,000 to build a modern, kind of top of the line PC. But the amount of money you save on games, a Steam sale comes around and you get 30 games for a nickel. Like,
Yeah.
fucking, it's ridiculous. I give myself a limit of like $20 now when a Steam sale comes around, and I hardly spend it. Like, unless I want to buy like a big tier game, like occasionally a Demon Souls or something like that can be, 20 or $30. But even like the South Park game, that game came out and I bought it a week after it was released and I got it for $35. Like you never pay $60 for a game on a PC.
Yeah.
No,
I think
not-
part of
not-
that too is the lack of I mean, not really a lack, but the lack of a necessity to have like a hard copy.
I feel like all of us bought BioShock Infinite when it was $60.
I did.
I want to say I got like $5 or $10 off.
All
of
right.
it.
Okay. All right. But there are still those games that you will shell out the 60 for. Like
Yeah, it's usually a Nintendo game. It's usually a
Yeah.
first-party Nintendo game. We're like, fine, here's $60. Fuck
Hmm.
you.
All right. All right. Yeah.
uh,
Hey,
I'll probably spend 60 on Destiny. That being said, that I will probably pay full
I'm
price for.
legitimately gonna spend $500 on that game. Like
Yep,
it's
same here.
absurd.
White
Destiny.
PS3,
Yeah.
PS4.
Right.
I don't know. I've been playing the beta too. It's pretty damn good.
I know.
See,
My only concern with that beta is there's not a ton of content. I'm like terrified this game is going to be like this new Russia area that I played 1,000 times in the alpha and the beta, and I'm going to cry if there's not a ton of environments.
All
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure it'll be fine.
right.
I'm just terrified.
All
and
the
that's what I
reviews
was
are
worried about.
so positive for it. I mean, they talk about how certain games just feel right when you play them, and this is one of those games that.
I mean, it's Bungie. It's the same. It feels the same way when you first played Halo, and they kind of introduce you to the world. Like the combat feels right. The speed feels right. Like it is a comfortable pair of shoes.
Right.
Like you get in the game and you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and the game fucking does it, and it feels great.
I I I like it. Like I liked it a lot, but I don't think it's that great, honestly. And I hope
Gameplay
that it's.
wise,
There was some stuff with there like I know they're trying to be kind of like Borderlands-ish and all, and I can't help but compare it to that. And there's just some stuff in there like
that's
I think
perfectly
that
reasonable.
I think the skill progression and like the actual like unique skills. I mean, this is also playing to like level 7 for a night over at Blandy's house. I just there was some I had some issues with the way that was handled. Like I think the cooldowns were too long. Like I played the Hunter one or whatever, the one with the golden gun. You know,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and like obviously the golden gun's ridiculously powerful, but it was like a 3-4 minute cooldown for something you have 3 shots with at a time. Like I don't know, it almost didn't even seem worth it to have it at that point because you're hardly ever using it. And I think and I hope that it doesn't stay that way, or there was something that changes as you progress through the game, and maybe that was just because it was such a lower level skill. But like to me, it was almost like there was no point to even have that kind of stuff in there if you're hardly ever using it.
See, I kind of saw it the other way. I liked the fact that I couldn't spam grenades or spam my special, and I could probably use it once, maybe twice in like a higher level fight. But I relied on my guns. You would get 2 or 3 guns, and to balance, kind of switching between them, getting far away using your longer range, rifle or whatever, and then kind of getting up close using a shotgun. Or big guy comes out, switch to a rocket launcher. Like I felt the guns were like Borderlands again to compare to Borderlands were really fun to use. I didn't really mind that. I'm like, oh, my grenade's back. Okay, let me try to clear out this area. I like that I wasn't trying to pick up as many grenades as I could or just spam my magic spells or whatever.
My problem with it though is that the character classes don't feel unique then. Like if all you're using is the guns that everyone has access to and you can't really utilize the skills that you're given like through the game, then what's the point of even having character classes? Aside from the different types of armor that they can equip, because that was
I
really
see
the
what
only
you're
difference.
saying.
Like
Yeah.
there's no point in having character classes if they don't feel unique at all. And that was my one gripe with it. Like I didn't
You
feel
could just have a skill tree at that point and be like, okay, do you want to use,
exactly.
magic? Like, you all are the same person, but do you want to go magic or do you want to go robots or whatever it is?
Exactly.
I will imagine that those buffs are going to become more unique as you get higher in level, though. I wouldn't think that they wouldn't.
I hope so. And I mean, I know there was stuff like I said, I only played the one class, so I can't really say from experience whether or not how different they were because I just played for like maybe 2 hours and got to that level or whatever, 3 hours maybe, and I don't know. I didn't see what would make that particular character class unique as opposed to what I don't even remember what the heck they were called. There was I know there was a big one. There was like a stealthy one, and then there was a
There was
third.
the hunter, the warlock, and the gun guy, I guess.
Yeah, the big guy.
The gun big guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of agree with you. The beta and the alpha felt very, very shallow. I hope that is just a symptom of the fact that it's an alpha and a beta, and it seems very likely. But it doesn't feel as like I'm worried that I'm not going to want to put the 80 hours into this game that I would otherwise. Or, Borderlands 2 is what, 20 hours maybe if we did kind of everything.
I don't know. I haven't beaten that yet.
I mean, yeah, Borderlands 2, I'm not a good judge because I 100% that game. I think the first time I played it through, I
And how many
100%
hours you
it.
put into it?
Jeez, 120. Like
Okay.
yeah,
But that's what I want out of Destiny. Like Destiny to me seems like a more interesting, better feeling Borderlands. Like I
right.
want that. I want to turn on this game and be like, I'm gonna 100% this motherfucker. I can't tell you the last time I 100%ed a game because I never want to. Like, there's not enough there. I'd be like, oh, what am I gonna do this fetch quest 100 times to get enough, whatever's. Like, I don't.
Right, right. Well, yeah, and I think we all agree that the missions that I struggle the most with are the freaking um, the escort missions. So yeah, if I have to do many escort missions in Destiny, I will not be 100%ing the game. I can
There
tell you
were
that.
none that I remember, but there were a bunch of fetch quests. Like, go
Yeah,
shoot these guys because we need blue crystals out of their butts or something.
nice. I love blood crystals so much. I've just been itching
So did
for a
this
game.
merchant, and then he gave me a shitty gun, and I was pissed.
What a douche. All right, so yeah, we're definitely excited for Destiny. That's something that's huge. As far as games that I've played this week, it was once again a slow week um, for me. I did put Fez back in. Still don't like it.
Yeah?
Still do not
Still
like
don't
that
like
game.
it?
No.
Alright.
I really want to. I really like the soundtrack. I really like the look of the game. I like the controls of the game. I hate the actual game. So that's where I'm at.
I hit a point in that game where I'm like, well, I've seen everything I need to see in Fez. We can move on now.
Right. Yeah.
I think a lot of that game too, when that game came out, the community around it trying to solve all those puzzles, I think really, really helped that game. Where it was kind of this, okay, part of this game is literally being played in the forum while people try to solve these puzzles.
Let's be honest. What helped that game the most was Indie Video Game the movie or whatever it was called. Indie Games the movie.
No, I feel like that game was popular well before that documentary came out.
All right. Okay.
Because that was that whole thing with like, you're not going to finish it, so I'm going to fucking spoil it. And I guess this is a spoiler alert for anyone listening to the podcast who has not played Feds yet and wants to play it. But like, shit breaks down into like QR codes, and then you have to scan the QR codes like on fucking message boards to like figure shit out to solve some of these puzzles. Like, the game gets really fucking deep later on, and I think that's super cool if you're all doing it together, but I'm not going to spend 90 hours trying to figure out Phil Fish's cryptic fucking video game.
No way.
I'm just
Especially
not going to do it.
especially when people just talk in squiggles. I'm not gonna do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck Fez. No, I'm saying it. Fuck it. I'm never playing that game again. I will
I
probably
enjoyed
uninstall.
the 4 hours or 2 hours or whatever the fuck I played of that game, but I hit a wall and I'm like, nah,
Honestly,
good.
what you told me makes me want to play it so much less. The fact that it gets even more intricate and cryptic and stupidly absurd. Yeah, I'm not gonna scan QR codes. That's not my cup of tea.
It's not going to
I've got
happen.
better shit to do with my time. I really do.
I don't blame you.
Oh
I,
man.
Motherfucker, you're preaching to the choir. I turned that game off and never looked back.
Yeah. All right. Another one that I revisited was Goat Simulator.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got more achievements, which was
Dumb
good,
game.
but once again, no idea how I got those achievements or how.
Yeah,
I
I
got them
feel like
again.
it's like pulling a fucking one-armed bandit slot machine in a casino. I'd be like, I did this thing, and now all these achievements are firing off, but I don't know. I was just flying through the air
Right.
and
Yeah.
somehow someone.
I did. I figured out that I could lick stuff and move it. That was something that
Yeah.
I had never done
Okay.
in previous games. So I spent a lot of
That's
time.
probably why you got a bunch of achievements.
Right. So I spent a lot of time dragging cars by licking them. And it was a lot of fun. I also got pretty decent at riding a bicycle, which I am going to say is an achievement in its own in that game.
I'm
Riding
going to go so far to say as you wasted your time if you got good at riding a bicycle in that game.
I didn't get great, but I could definitely make it more than 2 blocks, which is I say is a fucking achievement.
I think you should have turned off the game at that point. Just be like,
Yeah.
okay, I've been playing this too much.
That's enough,
Come back.
Goat Simulator. You are not, in fact, a goat. This does not matter. I had to break with routine. I started licking cars outside trying to pull them. It was a dark day in my life.
That
All right.
game's stupid fun, though.
Yeah, it is good, clean, stupid fun. You don't hurt anybody. You hurt a couple people by ramming into them or by blowing up gas stations.
Wow, I sent them flying.
But yeah, that's fun. That's fun. They can have it. And that's really all I played. I didn't play anything else. I feel bad about it. But let's move on to news. We already talked a little bit about Dota and the huge 5 million prize pool that went to what team? What team won that?
Newbie.
Newbie. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're a Chinese team.
I think they're Chinese too. I think I read that Chinese team took.
Yeah, like
No.
there was one North American team that I was cheering on. They were third place, and then it was 2 Chinese teams in the finals.
Is it racist to talk about Chinese gold farmers? I don't think it is, because it happens. Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
as long as you're not disparaging to the entire nation
I'm
while
not.
talking about
I'm
it.
not. I'm not going to be. I just they play a good amount of video games in China, which is something that I would not have imagined to be true. And like especially
It's like an industry, man.
right. Like they have
Gold
figured
farming.
out a way to make epic shitloads of money off of it, off of us being stupid. Well, not us directly. I did buy gold from a Chinese gold farmer once, and I did one time. Not gonna lie. And it was right when Diablo 3 came out. I bought my first million for like, I think it was $4.99,
Not bad.
just to get a jump on it. It was that
Yeah.
real money auction house. I was like, I gotta get this gold, so I can get in the real money auction house.
And the funny thing is that the real money auction house was supposed to stop, or at least to help prevent Chinese gold farming.
Right.
Well, now, okay, I can't specifically say Chinese gold farming. Gold farming in general.
Right. But, I mean, that's the term that it, I mean, yeah, I guess you can't say Chinese gold farming. That's what I was asking. I was asking if I could call it that. Or gold farming in general, I guess. But
There
yeah,
you go.
they definitely, good for them winning a title.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Any other news that we have after my tangent about gold farming?
Bungie ended up paying $95,000 to Marty O'Donnell. I think we actually talked about this on the podcast maybe about a month ago. Marty O'Donnell is, I mean, most famously, if not only known for, that's not fair, I don't know this guy's history, but all of Halo's music, like all of the singing monks and the da-da-da-da that you associate with Halo is the work of, Marty O'Donnell and his little team of
I remember
musicians.
now. And you told us that he left Halo, but he didn't want to talk about it. Or he
Well, yeah, it
couldn't
was like
talk
really weird. Like they all kind of parted ways, and it turns out that they owed Marty a fuck ton of money and around $95,000. Basically, well, they owed him about $40,000 in unpaid work, and then about the equivalent in damages, legal fees, so on and so forth. So I guess they didn't owe him $90,000, but after all was said and done, that man didn't get paid and wanted his motherfucking money.
Right, and I would assume they've issued a gag order. He hasn't gone on record as to say what went on.
Yeah, this seems to just be coming out of what had to be publicly available by a lawsuit kind of thing.
Right.
He's basically saying, he was let go without cause, and that's where they're leaving it for now, and I'm sure if this goes any further, which it usually why you settle is because you don't want anything to actually come out. You're just like, here's your money, shut up.
Let's Fox News it. What do you think happened?
I don't know. Video game companies are assholes, and maybe he's an asshole. I don't know.
It's true.
Maybe they're both assholes, and then he wanted. I don't know. I'm not speculating.
I'm gonna go with they're both assholes. I think that's a good one.
Other than that, so they passed. I don't know the actual law that was passed in Europe, but they're starting to crack down on quote, free-to-play games that are not necessarily free. So what they did is they ended up targeting Google and Apple, as they are the largest, basically, video game free-to-play distributors, saying that, look, we got to start doing something to show people that while they say they're free games, there are costs associated with them. So Google has kind of come out in front of this and said, all right, for Europe, all of the App Store, if there are microtransactions in the game, they are no longer allowed to be called free. They're going to be rolling this out, I think, by the end of September. I don't know what they're actually going to call it, but basically just make it abundantly clear. And Apple's doing a weird thing where they're going to let you flag accounts as kids, because this all came out of essentially like kids were buying $100,000 worth of fucking Barney points or whatever, trying to level up their purple dinosaur, and parents were getting phone bills be like, well, why do I have to pay, this company all this money? Like, I don't understand what the fuck this is. So everyone's trying to make moves, but I thought Google's was probably the best solution of, we're talking about free-to-play games that we want to try and stuff like that just to kind of get a feel for what's out there, but most of these games aren't free. Games like Dota may do it better than some others, but when it all comes down to it, they're trying to get your money. Like, they're not a fucking charity. So this is likely going to end up coming to the United States as well. I feel fairly confident that Google would do something like this voluntarily, because even though they're a giant, terrifying, company, they like to put on the appearance that they actually are looking out for us, if only so we don't constantly look over our shoulder and wonder why they want us to put a credit card and our phone number and our blood type to get a Gmail account.
Right. And they have all of our internet history since.
Yeah,
it's.
One. I mean, we're fucked if Google decides to fuck us. So whatever.
Yeah, they know all your deep dark secrets. That guy with the trench coat and the hat isn't hiding anything from Google. He's just hiding from your onlookers on your computer. Anyway.
And then the last piece of news, it's, I don't know, this one's barely news. So they revealed the new Doom at QuakeCon. The weird part is they're not showing the trailer, I believe, until next year? I want to say 2015. I couldn't find any official dates on when they were going to release this to the public. And everyone who's been talking about it and everyone who's seen it, has said it's, very brutal, surprisingly heavy on melee combat. I think one of the imps ripped your arms off and beat you to death with it. It's very visceral. But not a unkind word has been said that I've seen so far. Now, mind you, I'm not, scouring the internet looking for every tweet related to this. But this sounds surprisingly promising. Obviously, it's impossible to say, and why I'm prefacing with this with it's not news. But, it's... You want to believe that the new Doom is going to be great, and people seem to react. A room full of Doom fans, surprise, surprise, reacted positively to a new Doom trailer.
Right, but I think that's harder to do than...
Sure. Yeah, I don't know, but I want to believe. That is what I'm taking away from this is, man, Quake 4 was so fucking bad. If Doom 4 is, or Doom as they're just calling it now, is... even as good as Doom 3, I enjoyed Doom 3. I know it was not a perfect game, but I fucking enjoyed Doom 3. I'll be happy. I'll be more than happy to play that game.
Doom 3 was a fine game. It represents hope, and that's good. It's good to have something like that in your life.
So,
cool. Well, yeah, that's Doom's definitely on everybody's fingertips.
It's a classic.
Yeah, and that's some of our earliest video game memories, whether we want them to be or not, are Doom. It's hands down.
Doom and Wolfenstein,
Right.
ID fucking, even though this game isn't ID anymore, but those games invented, mass fucking market video games.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably the first one to get news coverage, other than Pong and arcades and shit like that. Probably the first computer game to get publicity, if only because it was so gory.
I would imagine so. I mean, back then, computer games were the Journeyman Project, and well, no, that even came after.
That's way after, man.
Way after. It was like Microsoft Golf, I guess.
It wasn't shit.
Yeah, that would be about it. Yeah.
Maniac Mansion.
Yeah, definitely pumped for it though. I played 3 non-religiously. I played it probably for about 10 hours. Who knows? Consoles didn't count back then. But
yeah, I burned through that game when it came out.
yeah.
I actually won it at a raffle at Millersville, the university I went to.
Nice
But
work.
Doom 3?
Yeah, the
Interesting.
Xbox version.
Did they know it's satanic?
I don't think they did at the time. I don't even remember what the fuck we did, but it was in the basement of the Student Memorial Center, and I somehow won a copy of Doom, and it was great.
Nice. Winning Doom in the basement of the Smack. It sounds awesome.
Yeah,
All
it was
right.
a good day. It was a good day.
I'll leave you with that great thought, everyone. We are the Pixelship Podcast. We are sailing off once again. Enjoy your video games. Oh, hold on, sorry. And leaving you is Joel Hartlob
See ya.
and Ryan Hayes.
I'm not going to say anything now.
Okay, you already said your high-pitched, awesome thing. Okay, goodbye, everyone.